Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning, I should say, and welcome to yet another segment of Asaph Cafe. And once again, we're doing a series of outer space cafes.
Yep.
I am your host, Asaph A. Let me make some acknowledgments. On my right, we have Sean. He's been on the show a few times in the past. Hello, Sean. And he's going to be one of our guests. Our special guest on my left, hostess of the new Lawrence Welk Show, Louise Bundy, and professional ballet teacher and dancer. So we're glad to have her. And then on my further left, affectionately, our aging rocker, Emmett.
Yep, fascinating.
Isn't that a beautiful set?
Exactly.
Now, did you hear on the CBS News about the new planet?
Oh, it was fascinating. Absolutely. And they're in the habitable zone that they could have Earth-type life.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a bit, but you want to start us off, Emmett?
Yes. Heavenly Father, bless our time together and healing me of my allergies in Jesus' name.
Amen. So just maybe a shot of that soda might help you there. So anyway, on CBS World News, they were talking about the planets. Just last night, they discovered 9 planets.
Fascinating.
In the, I don't know what solar system it was
I
in,
can't remember.
And they were like, how can I explain it? They were all in order, like back to back. And there were something like 3 of those planets that were on Earth. So.
Right. Well, you know, we can't possibly be the only life in the entire universe with how the billions of stars are out there. You know.
I've always believed in extraterrestrials myself, you know.
Well, even if we are the only ones, I think it displays a creator, but I don't know.
It does.
But it's just amazing, those new planets.
Yes, it is.
I mean, they think that those planets can support life.
They could.
Earth.
Earth-type life.
They think they have water on these planets.
Right.
And they were showing these detailed computerized images.
Yeah.
And plus the real planets too, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, yeah. I hope they do discover some kind of life.
Well, you know, I don't think that life in the universe would only be based on Earth-type life.
Right.
I think there
like
could
plant
be
life and stuff like that.
What?
Like plant life, maybe, and something.
Well, I think it's something totally different than our own, where we would not be able to survive. Maybe a planet with a methane atmosphere that we could not survive on, but the aliens could. The actual, aliens, and they couldn't survive on Earth.
Oh, I
It's
see.
a totally different environment, gravity, the atmosphere, totally. That, and any scientist would think, well, life could not survive here, but here's in the habitable zone. If this is here's an Earth-type planet, and it could support Earth-type life with people like us. Well, that's not probably the only creation, and as far as extraterrestrials in the universe, there might be something totally different.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You said we're carbon-based life forms.
Yes.
And they don't necessarily have to be.
Like, remember that Star Trek episode?
Right.
The silicon-based creature?
Right.
There could be something like that very easily.
Yeah, the water.
It was an excellent episode.
Yeah.
Well, you know how these scientists are. They're gonna figure it out. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. Sure, will be exciting if they do discover life.
That will be.
Yeah. That's great.
Maybe they have easy listening.
Who knows?
I made up a planet one time when I was, doing some science fiction stories. I can't remember the name of it, but this is the planet that easy listening came from. I made up that planet kind of in a science fiction story. The reason we have easy listening, like Tony Mattel or some of the Android cultivists, or Percy Faith, they're actually extraterrestrials from another planet. I made that up. They brought their music here, and they weren't going to. Isn't that a fascinating idea for a science fiction story?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Faith,
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. There are a lot of people that believe that extraterrestrials have been here all along.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, these planets, they look pretty real, I mean, they were like let's just state 9, but they were all back to back. To each other.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it made me think of Star Trek Voyager, the television show.
Yes.
Because they said that those planets were something like 12,000 light years, which would be like 4 million miles or something from the Earth. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And are you familiar with Voyager? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Well, they're lost in space. And there's like 75,000 light years from the Earth, so that would be like half a billion miles from the Earth or something like that.
Long way.
No wonder those people can't get home.
Yeah.
And it would take them something like 75 years to get to the Earth.
Yes, makes sense.
Unless they go through a time warp
Yeah.
thing or
Wow,
something.
yeah.
So, and that part of space they're trapped
Yeah.
out there.
Mhm.
There's hardly nothing. Hardly
Yeah.
no aliens, anything. Just
Yeah, I would have done it differently with more aliens and more science fiction plot, a lot more action. It's too politically correct for me. I've tried to get into Voyager desperately and really give it many chances. It's now on BBC America, you know. They no longer have Star Trek The Next Generation, but the marathons of Voyager. And I've really tried to get into that, and I haven't been able to.
Really?
It's so politically correct, it's just talking and not much action. Yeah, you know.
Well, it's probably a good thing, though.
Oh, I love action. I love space wars and action and, you know, incredible, you know, going to the wildest planets like this and fighting the most incredible aliens, like maybe telepathic insects who have, you know, something incredible like, you know, armies of battle cruisers in space, and they do it by telepathy. Something really wild.
Yeah.
I mean, really imaginative, you know.
Yeah.
Let's push the boundaries of imagination, but...
Right. Well, Star Trek, though, was also based on philosophies.
Well, it was. But yeah, even though the original, you know, Star Trek William Shatner was, but it had a lot of action and
That's
a lot of
true.
great plots, you
That's
know,
true.
and
Yeah.
a lot of fascinating aliens, just fascinating. So you can do both, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What was your favorite episode?
Oh, that would be the Doomsday Machine.
Ah.
Oh, love that.
Yeah. Commodore Decker.
That was excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
that was the thing with Star Trek Voyager. I don't even recognize
Yeah.
the name.
I do, yep.
There you go. Can't believe I'm playing that song. But anyway, that's pretty cool, that discovery in space.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And that would be something if there were humanoid kind of life. I guess we'll find out in time
Yeah.
if there's a such thing, you know.
Exactly.
But this whole universe is such a
Yeah, it is.
beautiful display. Like when you look in the sky and you see all the
Mhm.
stars.
Oh,
and
it's
just-
beautiful, yeah.
Oh, I've seen some of the pictures from the Hubble telescope.
Oh, yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the colors and the formations.
Yeah.
gaseous
Well, they
clouds.
had an artist also that used his imagination what it might look like on
Yeah.
some of those planets.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
Oh,
gorgeous artwork,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, Sean, how have you been?
Oh, busy.
Busy. What are you doing these days?
You know, YouTube.
Oh, that's right. You're working for them, aren't you?
No, I don't. I'm trying to. I don't work for them in a way. I'm my own. Like you have your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I have my own YouTube channels.
Okay. Does it have a name or anything?
I have 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
3 or
So,
4.
What kind of stuff
5.
do you post on there?
2 of them are for Halloween.
Okay.
One's just for random videos,
Oh, I see. Okay.
and then one's my daily vlogs.
Uh-huh.
And then there's one that's geared. I think I forgot one. One's geared for tech and stuff. When I find something tech related.
I see. Oh, cool. How long you been doing that?
About 3 to 4 years.
How do you like it?
I'm good. I started out, I had my first channel, and I sort of backed away from that. I got rid of that channel, created a new channel.
Okay. Cool. So what do you think about outer space, Sean?
It's nothing big to me.
The idea-
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, the idea of alien life doesn't,
Yeah.
doesn't come to it. No?
It doesn't really.
What about the idea that they've been here for thousands of years and have influenced our history and maybe infiltrated our species?
I believe all that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into that whole spectrum.
Yeah.
I believe it myself, you know.
Oh, life on other planets?
Yes, that may have influenced our culture, like the Egyptian cultures and the Mayan culture, yeah.
Me, I would think it'd be more like plant life, water life.
Yeah.
I'm not no
Mhm.
expert in science or whatever, so who knows?
Yeah, it's just a theory, but it's
Yeah.
interesting, you know. Yeah.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Cool.
Because they're saying the Sphinx is a lot older than the pyramids.
Oh, yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
not sure, who actually built that.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was beautifully painted and
Yeah,
colored.
yeah.
So, it's interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out with these new planets, they looked very promising.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
They'll probably repeat it on tonight's news.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to have to find somewhere for humans to go because it doesn't look like we've learned anything from the history of this planet about living in peace with each other.
I know.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get them to go somewhere.
You know, I wouldn't mind being one of the first colonists on Mars if we sent a colony of humans to Mars. I mean, think of the adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, you might die out there with lack of food or whatever, and it's very difficult just to survive, but to be one of the first pioneers, I mean, that'd be exciting.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're already sending rockets out in space to get to Mars. They were saying on the world news.
Oh, yeah, the
Oh, they're beautiful.
They've had a few failures, though. They've exploded in the sky with unmanned rockets.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'd go in a heartbeat. Something not on another planet would be part of history in that adventure, you know.
I've always wondered if Mars was like Earth a few billion years ago.
It probably was.
And eventually the climate change was dried out or whatever, and we actually came from there.
Who knows?
They sent their survivors here.
I believe more in the biblical account of Adam and Eve, that's what I believe, but you never know as far as actually...
Oh, you know, like other people you're talking about?
Yeah, I believe in Adam and Eve, I believe in the biblical account, but I wouldn't be surprised if extraterrestrials influenced the Egyptians somehow. They didn't know what they were seeing or whatever. You know, you look at some of the artwork, and I thought that there was just interesting artwork, but I've seen like ancient aliens, you know, that showing history that maybe these were influenced by extraterrestrials. You never know. You know, it's just a theory, but...
Yeah.
What fascinates me also is the planes of NASCAR.
The plane?
Where they have those giant drawings that can only be seen from the sky.
Oh, yeah, interesting, yeah.
You know, one looks like a phoenix. And,
Well, you probably won't be near TV tonight unless you're tonight, but I assume they'll show that story sometime tonight because it was just a brand new story they talked about just last night.
Yeah.
And they were beautiful looking planets
that
they showed. Yeah.
Might even be on the paper or something today.
It could be,
today's
because it's a new story that they just said just last night. So.
Terrific.
And what do you think about kicking Pluto to the curb? Did you hear about
Yeah, I know. I didn't like that. I did not like that. I think it's still
Technically, they proved it a long time ago. It's technically not a planet.
Well, even Mercury's still a planet. It's small enough to be a moon, so...
No, keep Pluto in there. I mean,
Actually,
I grew up with Pluto, you know?
Like, by teaching and stuff, they started considering because it didn't have any moons or anything.
Yeah.
So that's why they kicked it, I think, to the curb.
Yeah. Actually, Neil deGrasse Tyson was instrumental in that decision as well.
I thought Pluto did have one moon.
No.
Oh, I thought it did for some reason.
That's why they consider it not a planet.
Yeah.
It's got to have a moon at least to consider it a planet.
Well, some planets might not have a moon. You never know, you know.
I don't know.
But if they can look that far at, like, Pluto,
Yeah.
they probably have looked at all the planets as they were going along.
Yeah.
And probably Pluto did not check their mark.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Now it changes the acronym for remembering the planets. Because it used to be Mother very enthusiastically made a sandwich for us with no peanut butter. Now it's with something else, Nutella or something else.
Do you remember that ALF episode, if you ever liked ALF, where Brian wanted to do a science model for school? It was model of the solar system, and ALF said, well, you missed out the two planets, Dave and Alvin. And, well, Brian, you know, little boy, actually added Dave and Alvin, and he got in trouble with the school, and the school wouldn't allow it, you know, as our part. And then, of course, ALF said, I'm mad, I'm really mad. And so called up the principal and had threatened to have Brian removed from school and told, and this is so funny. You know how Willie Tanner always has to cover for ALF and tell anyone about ALF because the alien task force? Well, guess what? The principal showed up. They had broken the TV. The TV was broken, and I can't do it. It's so visual. Willie was screaming at ALF, well, you called Consumer Ed when I told you not to? I ought to turn you over to them. Wouldn't that make it Christian for the 6 o'clock news? Then he opened the door and said, yeah! And, of course, the principal was saying, oh! And then the principal said, what? You made a phone call to me today. And she said, I don't remember a phone call. And he said, who are you yelling at? The TV's broken. I always yell at the TV when it's broken.
Oh, I see.
And it's
that
a
was
little
a fun show.
Yeah.
You've seen it, haven't you?
I have once or twice, but
Well,
I
actually,
couldn't
did you know
get into
before
it.
the Cosby Show, that was the #1 show on
Yeah.
television? Really?
Oh
No,
my
seriously.
goodness.
I mean, before Cosby came out.
Wow.
Yeah,
Alf
NBC's
from
Alf was
Melamine.
the #1 show
Yeah.
on
Oh
television.
my goodness.
At
Yeah,
that time.
I've never.
I loved Alf. Anyway, so then when the principal threatened to bring a social worker, he said, no, let's talk. Sit. I remember this is about my conversation. What did I say? I didn't even remember because, well, the TV just exploded. It was on my head. And then the principal said, he was threatened to remove Brian from school. You questioned the credentials of his teacher, and you refused to remove the 2 planets that were there, Alvin and David. One of which you said you stopped to use the restroom. And so they were blaming Willie, and he had to talk to Alvin. Finally, they did allow it. I mean, Consumer Ed finally came to look at the television. It's hard to describe. It was a hilarious one. But it worked out well in the end, but it was hilarious. I just can't do it. But there were 2 other planets that hadn't been discovered, Dave and Alvin. You know, because there was Alf had in his glove compartment a map of the galaxy, and the scientists didn't know about it, you know, Earth. But they theorized maybe a 10th planet, and it was just a funny show.
That's great.
I loved Alf.
Yeah.
So many times I would laugh till I had tears coming out of my eyes. It was laughing so hard.
You know, I think the reason that show worked was because it was clean. It was just a
It was a very clean movie.
Yeah, and
Series.
I think television was lacking that. And
It was.
Alf just happened to come along at that time, and I think it reached a lot of children.
It did, and they
that's
loved
why-
Alf.
Yeah, they never had any of those innuendos like a lot of shows have. And it was just
Yeah.
silly fun, silly comedy, and I think
Yeah.
it worked at the time.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't work today in 2017, but at that time.
Yeah, it worked for me.
Yeah.
Now they made an Alf cartoon where Alf was on Melmac. I tried to watch it, but I just wasn't very good.
I'm not familiar with that.
It was on Saturday morning cartoons in 1986. As a matter of fact, I saw that first before I saw Alf, the live action one. I wasn't amused, but I liked the concept of Alf. Funny, they put it on local TV in the afternoon, and boy, that was so funny.
I'll take some of that secret ingredient.
That was so funny, yeah.
That's based on Star Trek V, The Secret Ingredient.
Yes.
I don't know if you know the story of that or not. In Star Trek V, can't believe I'm sharing this with you.
Yeah.
Captain Kirk, Dr. McCoy, and Spock, they were on shore leave at the beginning of the movie. And Dr. McCoy was making some beans.
Yeah.
They're the family recipe, just baked beans. And the secret ingredient was alcohol, was gin or whatever it was. And so they didn't tell, Dr. McCoy didn't tell Spock what the secret ingredient was. So after Dr. McCoy cooks the beans, Spock is eating it.
Yeah.
I've never tasted beans quite like this before. You know, he's getting all logical about the beans. And McCoy says, that's our old McCoy recipe.
Yep.
It goes back generations, and it's alcohol. And so Spock's like, you mean to tell me your secret ingredient is alcohol? And McCoy says, yeah. And then Captain Kirk says, you got any more of that secret ingredient?
Hilarious.
So I borrowed that joke with Emmett.
Yeah, it's
So
hilarious.
when he brings his cola, we just call it
Yeah,
secret
definitely,
ingredient
love
based
it.
on Star Trek V.
Sure.
I had to tell the TV audience the first time I used that joke that it's just
Exactly.
soda.
Yeah.
We're not
Exactly.
drinking for real.
Yes.
Get us all in trouble.
Yeah, alcohol's not allowed in the studio.
No. So when we use that joke, secret ingredient, that's what it means. And I don't know if I ever told you that
Yeah.
joke or not.
Besides, I'm not a morning drinker anyway. Yeah.
No.
I like to drink in moderation, beer and wine, but I'm not a morning drinker anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love my coffee in the morning anyway.
I do too.
Oh, I
when
love
have time
coffee.
to drink it.
I love coffee, but caffeine is not good for me.
Yeah, I need it as the eye opener in the morning. I bought some French vanilla yesterday. I like French vanilla.
Wow.
Love-
You talking about the French vanilla, the cream?
not only the French vanilla, but the actual
vanilla
coffee.
rose.
Folgers,
yeah.
French vanilla flavored is delicious.
Yeah.
I love that.
The cream's is very good too.
It is. Yeah, I had to buy some of that yesterday. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk about Time Tunnel for a moment. You know, I've been watching.
Oh,
that
yeah.
show. Did you see it last Saturday by chance?
I didn't. I
I
keep
think
forgetting
so.
to
I
watch
thought
it.
about you, and I almost sent you an email.
Yeah, I think so.
Robert Duvall, the actor, was the
Mhm.
guest star. he was a saboteur, and he was trying to destroy the tunnel.
Oh, right.
I mean, he was working at the tunnel.
Mhm. Yeah, he planted a bomb in the station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
And whenever the time travelers are on the screen, if something happens to the tunnel, they can feel it.
Mm.
So the first part of the sabotage, they were dying.
Uh-huh.
The two time travelers are dying. Now, if they're not on the screen, then they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then the scientists that worked the controls are trying to figure out what was wrong, and they were able to figure it out. And then, of course, the saboteur planted the bomb, and then he
Yeah.
goes into the tunnel himself when he's not supposed to.
Right.
It plunged him 1 million years into the future.
Oh,
So that was interesting.
yeah.
I didn't know the time tunnel could go that far, but it did. It literally went 1 million years into the future.
Fascinating.
And so then the two time travelers got plunged also 1 million years
Oh,
in the
right,
future.
and that's where those metallic men showed.
Yeah, to try to
Fascinating.
they were going to try to stop the saboteur because
Right.
somehow the saboteur got into the future first, so he somehow took over the whole planet,
Mhm.
the culture.
Mhm.
And he was like this dictator president,
Mm-hmm.
and he took over.
Yeah.
So when the two time travelers got into the future to try to capture him, they had a hard time because all the people were serving
Right.
and following the saboteur who had taken over.
Mhm.
But what was creepy about that episode was there was one lady from that planet in the future, and they didn't know what the word like is, you know, like when you like someone.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So she started liking the two time travelers and thought they were nice people because they helped her, because they were going to sacrifice her and kill her because of the saboteur who took over.
Yeah.
So she appreciated her life being saved.